I know we've only known each other for 4 weeks and 3 days, but to me, it seems like 9 weeks and 5 days.
All right, all my garden enthusiasts and passionate plant people. Welcome to the Sunday edition of the Let's Get Growing show right here on the Urban Gardener channel. And thank you so much, everybody, for being here with us today. Today, we're just doing a little we're going to call Adventures in the Garden today. And just a little bit later on, we'll have our good friend facilitator, J-Bot, joining with us. We both got some snapshots from the garden. We'll do a little garden slideshow here just a little bit later on in the show. Plus, we've got our good friend Mark Boucher Colbert, Mr. NBC, in the garden with us as well, too. He'll be on in just a few minutes here, talk about what he's got growing on in the garden there up in Portland. And yeah, lots and lots of great fun today. So hope you stick around for all of what we have in store today. And let's go ahead and do this too. Also at the top of the show real quick here. Yep, definitely hit that like button, thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Bell notification to be notified all of our upcoming videos and live streams and all of that. Definitely share with all of your friends and let them know about the Let's Get Growing show here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Also, big, huge shout out to all of you who are watching us on the replay. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for joining us on your time. It's great to have you here. And if you can, jump into that comment section down below and let us know that you're here. Let us know what you're growing from, where you're growing from, what you got growing on in your garden. I want to hear all about it right in the comment section below, or just stop by and say hi. Again, I'd love to hear from all of you in the comments. Thank you for doing so. If you are here with us live today, definitely join in on the conversation in our chat here. We also have our roll call coming up here in just a couple of minutes too. So you definitely want to do like all of our replay watchers are doing. You want to jump into the chat right now. Let us know where you're growing from, what you got growing on, and all of that. And we'll give you a big, huge shout out here at the top of the show in just a few minutes here. Also, drop in any questions you might have today, comments, or all of that, and we'll feature those throughout the show right there along the bottom of the screen. And definitely follow all the links down below to our other social media and other contributors to the show here. And definitely go and check out what they've got growing on over on their channels as well, too. So right on, everybody. Again, thank you so much for being here. Really great day here on the show. We've got a lot to cover here just a little bit later on with some of the things we've got growing on. I've been mentioning too, and I talked about yesterday as well as last week about filming a garden tour. So today I'm going to give you a little snapshots from around the garden tour as kind of a sneak peek into what our video tour will be this next week. As I'll be shooting some video. Hopefully everything will go all right. If you were here with us yesterday, I was telling everybody about how I had so many troubles with all these sort of things coming on and happening as I was trying to film this early summer garden tour that I've been wanting to do. And finally, as the planes were flying over for a fire that we have here, after a couple emergency vehicles, some vehicles, loud ones buzzing by, dogs, all this sort of stuff was going on while I was trying to film this here. And again, like I said, we had these big planes that, in fact, let me show you this picture here real quick. This is what they call the Evans Creek Fire. This is just north of us here where I live in the Rogue Valley, about, I don't know, I'd say about 20 miles or so north of us here. And this is actually a picture from when it was just getting started. And it's burning up and the smoke is filling up the valley now and all of that. And hopefully they're getting it contained and everything. But those planes that go out to where the fire is to spray the retardant and different things that they do out there travel right overhead here. And once I noticed that and found out that there was a fire nearby, I just realized there was going to be no use in trying to do that filming because they were just going to be constantly coming over us there. So I'll try to get that all done and taken care of here, hopefully tomorrow, and then over the next day or two, I'll edit it down and put that up on our YouTube channel. So another good reason to hit that bell notification, like I was saying, so that you can be notified of this video coming out here this next week. A nice early summer garden tour. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy that. Hope you guys again too enjoy the sneak peek that we'll have here a little bit later on. As I went around and snapped some pictures yesterday, we had Jay snapping some pictures as well too from around her garden. So both of us will get together here a little bit later and kind of show you around and talk about what we've got growing on in our gardens, as well as what you all got growing on in your gardens too, because I want to hear all about what you have growing on as well too in our chat. So definitely be jumping in throughout the show and letting us know that you're here and what you got growing on. And let's see here. Let's also mention too, if you didn't get a chance to check out yesterday's show, yes, yesterday's Let's Get Growing show, we had a great show with us. We had James Weston, Farm Boy James, joining with us on the show yesterday. We had a great conversation with him about beekeeping, chaos gardening, and a community compost program that he runs as well too. So it was a great conversation. You'll definitely want to go back to yesterday's show and check that out. We also had Angela from Hippie Chick Homestead with us as well for our Are You Following Me? Really great conversation with her to learn all about what she has growing on over on her channel. So like I said, just a really fun show yesterday. I had such a great time with all of you hanging out with our guests and everything too. It was nice to kind of have things, have like a regular, real Let's Get Growing show yesterday. And it was just so much fun. So if you didn't get a chance to check that out, definitely go back and watch that on the replay as well too, like I said, and then jump into the comments like I was saying as well. So yeah, really great show yesterday. And again, just it's so nice, like I said, to have things kind of somewhat back to normal. We've got plenty of more great guests. I'll talk about next week's guests and some things like that as well too as we move on throughout the show. But yeah, just a really, really great show yesterday. All right, everybody. I hope that you all got in and jumped in. And if you haven't yet, get into our comments there. Let us know you're here. Let us know where you're growing from, what you got growing on, because it is now time for roll call.
My name is Kevin.
Yeah.
That is my name.
Yeah.
They call me Kevin.
Yeah.
Because that's my name.
Roll call.
All right. It's roll call time. This is the bit part of the top of the show where we give you all a shout out who are joining us in the chat. And so let's jump right in, of course, with our good friend, the J-Bot, Jay Dixon, joining us from Huron County, Midwestern Ontario, in the lee of Lake Huron, and also joining us here live on the show just a little bit later on. We always love having Jay around on the show with us. So, and it's gonna be fun to kind of check out some of the things that she's got growing on here as well. So thanks, Jay, for being here. Keep an eye out in the chat as well, at least through this first part of the show, for any links and all that sort of stuff. And I think we've got a couple of other folks who are going to help out with facilitating the chat as well too. So keep an eye out there for all of that further information on the things that we're talking about today. Also, we've got Look to Nature Homestead. Great to see you. Always great to have you here with us in the chat. Checking in from Pennsylvania, 6B, 7A. The storm clouds afflicted me for the moment, have gone. And what is that? Tempest fugit? Okay. I'm not Latin, I'm thinking. I'm not sure. You guys throw some curveballs at me with that sort of stuff. And also says, got a great deal on Lowe's last Fort Laramie strawberry. Got the last one too. That's great. Snag it up, right? We got Janet McDonald in the conversation too. Thank you so much for being here. Always great to see you. As well as John Harrell. Hey, yo, great to have you here with us. Thanks for jumping into the conversation. Really awesome to have you here. We've got nope. Hi. Great to have you here. Muddy Puddles Farm, Joe over there from Cornwall, UK, in the sunshine. Nice and sunny over there as well, huh? Although it's getting late, so I'm sure the sun's getting ready to go down for you all. So it must have been a good day today over there in the UK. We got Michael O'Connor joining in with us from North Alabama, Zone 8. I spent some of the morning transplanting shrubs and a tree. Good deal. That's great. Get some things done there. We've got our good friend Adam joining us as well, too, from Smoky Central Point, Oregon, up the road from me. And as I showed you, he's a lot closer to that picture I showed you earlier of the fire that we've got going on here. And yeah, again, the smoke really started to fill into the valley this last night. And it was, a little okay this morning, but just in the last hour or so, I was just really starting, you really tell that it's in the air for sure. Dusty Flats, hello, sweaty gardeners. Not looking forward to the heat and high dew points starting tomorrow in Wisconsin. We'll be hunting down mulch and shade fabric later. Yeah. Again, too, you guys are getting all that just really high heat over there as you're moving towards the East Coast and everything, too. And like I hate to say, it's like, a trade-off for me because, again, we're having a pretty cool summer so far. And it's still in the 90s at points and stuff, but for the most part, it's still pretty cool compared to the hundreds plus that we're usually seeing this time of year over the last several summers. So I'll take a little cool summer, and so will my plants in the garden, as you'll see a little bit later as well, too. Darth X. Hey, Darth. Thanks for joining with us today. Great to have you here. Good morning from the Pacific Northwest up here in the U.S. Great to have you here with us. Look to Nature says, I'm almost always playing with strawberries during Enix Lives. All right. Lots of strawberries. I've got lots of cool strawberry plants and things I've mentioned before as well that we're in kind of a rebuilding phase of some of our strawberry beds. And so I'm out there propagating strawberries like crazy right now throughout the different garden spaces. Let's see here. And John says, Southeastern North Carolina finally started doing some fruit stuff in an area we have talked about forever, starting with the fig. And the wife found some blackberry and raspberries. So expanding that spot quick. Raspberries. I love raspberries. I've got to get me some more raspberries in a container. Goals. We got garden goals. I need to get some raspberries again. We had them years ago, some really good ones that were really nice. So I need to get some of those back in our garden space too. Blackberries, though, they're wild around here. We have no shortage of blackberries where I'm from here in the Pacific Northwest. And Cam from Las Vegas. Nope. 9A, trying to keep things watered. It's 100 degrees now, every day now. Yeah, I know. It's especially for those of you who live out in those types of areas like Las Vegas, the Southwest, and all of that. When the heat gets kicking in, it's in for the season. And Dar says, yes, we're in fire season now for sure. Yeah, definitely fire season. And again, with a cooler summer and, I guess there wasn't, and there really wasn't a bunch of snowpack, but I thought just a little bit of a wetter winter than what we've had, especially over the last several years. I was really kind of hopeful, but to have one that's just so close and really, filling up our valley with smoke and everything, it's just really unfortunate. And really typical as it is around here on the West Coast for us, for sure. So again, and the fire season is long. We still got, August and September. September is really the worst part of the year for our fire season. So we still got quite a ways until we get to the real part of the fire season for sure. Look to Nature says, I've harvested beautifully viable seeds from my Fragera Fesca woodland strawberries. Yeah, all sorts of just really awesome little varieties of those. That's great. I'm not even sure. I would have to go and look exactly what my varieties are. I know I had in one patch a June bearing variety, but I think we've pretty much switched that out over the years now to mostly ever bearing varieties throughout the whole garden space. Dar says, need to snap more pictures from my garden and capture the quail family visiting my garden. Got quails hanging out. That's really cool. Janet says, Central Texas on the rocky edge of hill country, zone 9A, moderate summer for here, July, and only one day has hit 100 degrees. I'm still not sure if it really was actually 100 degrees, and I'm not sure. Adam would probably even know as well, too, but I think maybe literally one day for us, if we did hit 100 degrees at all around here so far. And again, that's not typical of our last several summers. I mean, all the way back to like 2016 or so that I can remember, like 10 years ago, that we've been having just hotter and hotter summers with lots of 100-degree days by now. All right. Michael O'Connor says, I still got a 6-foot windmill palm to plant and 9 bark. Okay, I don't know if I've heard of 9 bark before. Let's see here. We got EE201. Good afternoon from Ohio. Great to see you. Thanks for jumping into the conversation here with us. We got Darcy and roll call. Vancouver Island, Zone 9A, 8B. Lots of tomatoes going crazy. Yeah. My tomatoes are going crazy too. It's awesome. Again, too, that's a really cool thing about this cooler, more moderate summer for us here, is that the tomatoes have been doing fantastic. Dusty Flats in the conversation. Potato beetles finally treated, found squash eggs on 8 leaves of pie pumpkin, and squash vine borer surgery done on curry squash, as I forgot to treat with IV organic deterrent. Oh, yeah, another good reason to have that 3-in-1 plant guard. But I feel for you with that squash vine borer. I don't have those, but we do have the squash bugs or whatever, the leaf-footed squash bugs that we've got. And I saw one, so I know, and there's probably eggs hiding up under somewhere. I've been trying to keep the best eye I can on the plants, but now they're getting to be a good size now too. So, it's hard to find, because they can be sneaky and hiding those eggs in places and all of that. So when the plants get so big, it can be really hard to find as you're just looking up underneath and everywhere. So if they start sneaking and building populations and all of that, at least our plants now are at a good size where they can start to handle some of that pressure that some of those bugs are going to be putting on our plants. So hopefully we won't have to deal with too much of them this year. And Michael O'Connor, North Alabama, outside Huntsville, we have had a humid subtropical climate. Yeah, humid. Oh, yeah, I've been to the East Coast and the southern East Coast humidity, and I feel for you. I just I'm used to dry heat over here on the West Coast. You get over into that East Coast humid heat. Whew, man, that's hard to handle. All right. Tempus fugit. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Time is fleeting. Time flies. Seize the day. Carpe diem, right? Seize the day. I know that one, right? Dusty Flats, the squash in another location are so far untouched, treated with IV organic spray. Awesome. Using the IV organic. Difficult to work around rain threats, though. Yep. Got Big Will Dog in the soil with us, joining us from Indianapolis. And yes, strawberry propagation is in full swing here, and second flushes are on the way. Awesome. Excellent. And Michael says, I try raspberries here, but temperamental. I think short winters don't help. Yeah, that could be the case. That could definitely be the case. Dusty says, I was happy. My husband wants to reconstruct the self-watering gutter system for strawberries. And yeah, I'm trying to find, and I'm looking out. Hopefully, I'll find some eventually. I want to find someone who's got like some old gutters that they're trying to get rid of or scrapping or something like that, because I got this fence, and I'll talk about that actually on our video tour we'll do this week, where I want to install some gutters and stuff for my strawberries. I want to, again, we're propagating lots of new plants. I want to replace some, but I also want to expand into some other types of growing spaces that we could utilize in our back gardens for more strawberries. We can't have enough strawberries, that's for sure. And Adam says, my Tempest station history shows 102 degrees on June 14th for the hottest day so far. Okay. So we did get to, I'm again with some of them, and I'm not sure which thermostat or whatever I was reading, maybe and I'm not sure where that one comes from at all, but I think for us here, I'm reading from the airport temperatures. So I'm not sure. I mean, it could have, I know there were times it said it was going to, but then it didn't quite reach, but it could have been in one of those days for sure. So, but definitely not as many as we're used to, right, Adam? Excellent, everybody. Thank you so much for jumping into our roll call here today. It's great to talk to all of you here. And say hi to Kelpie too, jumping in here last minute too. Thank you for jumping in there. And also, if you haven't gotten your name or shout out here after our roll call, like I said, continue to let us know you're here, where you're growing from, and all of that as well too. And we'll feature those throughout the show down below on the screen. So again, everybody, thank you all for joining us today. It's really great to have you here. We've got our good friend Mark joining us in the garden. So let's go over and see what he's got growing on.
Hey guys, good morning. It is Mark Boucher Colbert. You're in the garden with NBC. Look at this gray, cloudy day we've got in July. I mean, it's July 11th. Can you believe it? And here in Portland, Oregon, we've been having what I'd call an old school summer. It's just like a throwback to 30 years ago when summers were cool, gray, cloudy through a lot of the summer. You didn't really hit warm temperatures till August. This was typical Pacific Northwest weather during the summer. And even so great an author as Steve Solomon, growing vegetables in the Pacific Northwest, spoke of things called the cabbage summer, right? There would be 1 out of 5 summers would be these perennially cool summers where really you weren't gonna ripen a tomato very often. So fast forward that to 30 years from now, effects of climate change and such. We've had blazing hot summers, sometimes beginning in May. But this year is different. While the rest of the country swelters, we've had cool conditions. A lot of beautiful days in the high 70s or low 80s. And then the occasional day like this in July. It's like, what's going on? Anyway, I'm here to talk about today a particular garden summer topic, watering. And as you may guess, I'm not talking about watering systems today in terms of drip irrigation. I'm not talking about timers. I'm not talking about hoses. I'm not talking about spigots and faucets and various kind of attachments. I'm talking about the humble watering can and why I love watering cans and what purpose they serve for me in the garden. So let's jump in. First thing to say is I'm at a school right now. I'm at Franciscan Montessori Earth School where I'm the garden specialist. And one of the things that I have at the garden is a big plastic tub, probably 4x4x4. So figure out, I don't know how many gallons that is. It's hundreds of gallons that I fill as a water reservoir that is available for dipping watering cans in. And I have a mini version of this at home. I have like a 44-gallon Brute Rubbermaid garbage pail that I fill up with water every day, almost. And I have a metal watering can there that I use to tend to various tasks. But let me first talk about the strategy of this. Why do I want to have standing water somewhere that I can access? Well, from the school side of things, kids love to water. And indeed, most of my garden activities as a garden educator, this will apply to parents and anyone who has kids in their garden at any point, is to try to maximize the amount of tasks that can be done with simple handwork. So normally in our gardens, we're trying to make our gardens more efficient. The use of timers and such frees us from those tasks. When I'm working with kids, I want to increase the number of tasks that they could do. I want to make the garden less efficient and more reliant on human labor. And kids love to garden and water things, especially because it is a very direct act of caring for a plant. So as a result, I have a tub of standing water. Now I go through this fairly regularly, as in probably filling it up once a week. That's how much water I'm using with watering cans, even during the time when kids aren't here. So I really employ this water can situation, but definitely when they're here, I can burn through it. You know, the kids will waste a lot of water too, splashing it. It's fun on a hot day. Anyway, if you have a tank that's going to be standing for a long time, it can become a breeding ground for mosquitoes. So you want to put in some kind of a dunk, these kind of straw-based dunks that have Bacillus thuringiensis in them. It's a great biological control, non-toxic for other creatures, but just breaks up the life cycle of the mosquito larvae. Can't breed in there. Anyway, like I said, I have standing water at home. I have standing water here, but I'm cycling through it fairly fast and replenishing it with new chlorinated water. So during the main season, I'm not that concerned with that. All right, let's talk about the watering cans though, because first of all, for kids, there is a delightful array of things, and I try to have a nice collection. I just got these fishies, I love them. But let's talk, I'm gonna look at some of the utility. Each of these is fun just as an object that the kids would interact with. But there's various pour patterns, which is kind of what I want to get into. Now the fish, this is the first time I have the fish. I like the fish's pour. It's very nice. It's kind of broad. It flattens out. See how it kind of flattens out from the mouth, and is fairly gentle and controlled. I like that. It also has a fairly big opening here that allows, when I dunk in, water can rush in and fill this thing fairly quickly. So these are some of the things that I'm thinking about when I'm looking at watering cans, or I've had the chance to work with a lot of different watering cans. But I like that pour. I think it's going to be fun. It's the overall sizing is great for kids, right? Water's heavy, so if you're going to be carrying it anywhere or lifting it out of a tank, bigger cans are very hard for kids. This is perfect sizing. Fishy's going to get 2 thumbs up. Really awesome addition. I'm going to let Fishy go swim around in the tank. This is another total favorite, the duck, and we've actually come to call it the puking duck. Really nice sheet of water that comes out of that the snout there, and this just generates tons of laughs. The puking duck, ironically, it fills at the butt and pukes out the mouth. Just a total setup for success with kids. But as a watering can, I do love that big wide sheet. That means it's going to go on very gently over a surface. This would even be suitable for doing some new seedings. So anyway, the puking duck, a big favorite. We got gnome here, the spout head. Gnome is pretty targeted. It's like comes out in a very directed stream, and gnome has a small fill hole compared with the volume of the thing. Gnome's not a big favorite, I'll be honest. It's good for some targeting, like when I'm watering containers, for example. I want to get a stream of water directly into the container. I don't want a lot of spillover. So gnome's good for that, but I don't really reach for gnome as my first line of defense. He's cute though, right? Look at that. There's a face any gardener could love. Gnome's in the mix. Also last year we added Piggy. Piggy is fun. Piggy has 2 directed streams of water from the snout. That's pretty good, but Piggy's got slow delivery. I like the kind of the wobble motion though. You can kind of lay down the water evenly over a surface with wobble, and Piggy's just fun. Babs, the name of the piggy is Babs. Kids love Piggy, so that's good too. All right, that's the kid portion. Now we move into the adult portion. Don't worry, the content isn't going to be offensive anyway. One of my go-tos is really this. This is Rubbermaid 2-gallon, and one of the reasons why I'm using watering cans a lot is I may have planted something here, there, isolated, a single tree, a single shrub, a couple of tomato plants, and I have a sprinkler in my garden. It's going a lot of the day when I'm here at school, and I can't always just pull that away from what's going on. So I use the watering can to spot water certain other little areas that I don't want to devote a whole sprinkler session of an hour to or so. So the Rubbermaid cans, the 2-gallon cans, are really wonderful. They're extremely sturdy. They fill up very fast. They deliver their water well. Here, let me show you the pour. This is definitely, you know, you can regulate it with you can go pretty gentle and quite voluminous. It had a kind of a sprinkler head on it, but I've taken those off. Those, I'll talk about those in a minute. Those just tend to get in the way. I don't tend to use those sprinkler heads. Generally, I'm not wanting a gentle stream. I'm watering bigger planters and or transplants. A word to those who are carrying water various places, always better to have 2, especially as the watering can gets heavier. If not, you're going to be stuck in this very awkward position of carrying something heavy, which is dragging you down on one side. At least with 2, it's a balanced load, and I've often found that it's much easier to carry twice the weight of water if it's balanced versus just a single cannon where I'm off base. So anyway, I usually get 2. These are my big go-tos for transporting water here, there, and everywhere. I love the Rubbermaid 2-gallon. Here's another 2-gallon can, not quite as good. I mean, it's got a bigger volume here. It does have this little pour notch down at the bottom. This is kind of interesting. You can see watering cans, like many tools, have an infinite variety. And before buying a tool, I often like to try it. You know, it's rare that you get to try a watering can because there's no real way to do it in the store. But if you're at a friend's garden and you see something cool, this is the time to try it. So if you see a cool watering can, you want to see how it feels. This one does have, you know, this cool little grip back here so you can pour it out. I find the taper of the nozzle a little irregular though, because it has this inbuilt lip here. It tends to pour out the water in a strange way. There's a kind of a cascade over the top and then a delayed or friction based part of the stream, so it's unpredictable, where the stream is a little bit unpredictable and it will come out in gushes as this thing gulps air. So not my favorite, but I do like this style addition. That's pretty cool. Here's a watering can from a respected British company, Hawes, and there's metal versions of these as well. I don't like this one. I really don't. It's definitely got a, I don't have 2 of them, so I didn't have one filled up, but it's got a narrow pour. It's got a lot of handles, so that's good, I guess, but it just comes out too slowly for me, and it's too heavy regarding the volume that's delivered. I much prefer this Dram watering can, which is basically the same style, but you're not holding so much water as you slowly deliver it. So again, for a small targeted application, I'm going to use this. Now these will both come with these kind of rose sprinkler attachments. I've lost this one, but I have this one. The trouble with all of these, so let's just talk about these rose sprinkler attachments. The idea is, of course, to make the stream break up into many little streams, which are much more gentle. This is great for new seedings where you don't want to be disturbing the soil with a jet stream of water. But I find so often, unless your water source is 100% clean or pure, any kind of particles that get in there, any algae that grows in there, if your tank takes light in, it can interfere with the nozzles really easily, and you start getting very irregular, irritating patterns. So you want to make sure, like this one of the things I like about this dram can is that the sprinkler head comes off very easily, and you give it a few good whacks and clean it out with your finger, and then you're back in business. Snaps tight. So anyway, I love this little dram can. I have this at home in my garden room, my grow room, and I have one in our greenhouse here because this is great for the gentle spot watering without giving you such a big load here that it's hard on the arm. So that's the other thing to consider. How much weight are you lifting while the water slowly goes out? You don't want to be doing too much because then it puts a lot of strain on your body. Anyway, I like this can. Here's a couple that I really enjoy. Again, I got a pair of them, and these are for more targeted container plantings. Again, they have a narrow nozzle, so they'll produce a very reliable stream at any intensity, but not so much. This is a gallon, I guess, something like that, about maybe a gallon and a half. And again, not terribly heavy, because when you're going at a slow rate, you're going to be holding that for quite a while. It's one thing to just take watering can and dump it out. It's not so much strain on the body if you're lifting it up momentarily, but if you're holding it there for a while you direct the stream, it'll give you a little more strain in the shoulder area. So you want something that's a little lighter. Sometimes I will take kind of like an Air Force fueling mission. Let me show you how that works. I'll take a big can and a small can, and I'll almost do like I can do like midstream fueling, like big. So I can be fueling while I'm watering. I don't often do that. But what I like about this can is that it's a giant opening to fill, so I can really get a big can's worth in there very easily. So I'll take my big can and little can at the same time, and then I can have greater capacity with the greater accuracy. Anyway, we're doing a lot of watering right now. We're doing a lot of watering in the garden, and I just wanted to give a shout out to the Humble watering can and show, just as a general way of talking about tools in general, that any garden tool that we use comes in a near infinite variety. And often the tool is very specialized to the task. It also may be specialized to your body, right, and what your body will tolerate. And then it can have other applications, like some pure fun like we saw for the kids. So I keep a watering station, a watering container, some kind of canned garbage can, big tank, at all times during the summer, and I will drain it in the winter. I have plugs at the bottom where I can drain it. But this is very handy for any kind of spot watering, for container watering, for watering in the greenhouse. It allows me to not have to tap into my other hose when I have the sprinkler going. And I can do even things that are planted far away at the outer reaches of my garden. I can walk over there without having to drag all the hoses out all the time, put the hoses back. That becomes its own chore. So I'm a big fan of the watering can. I hope you've got a watering can, your favorite watering can. Would love to hear from you about what your favorites are. And you'll see I did focus only on plastic cans. I do have a metal can at home that I like. Some metal cans I don't like. Sometimes they have fracture and stress points at the nozzle. It's up to you. You know, you find your brand, you find what works, and stay with that. I find if you treat these plastic cans well, they last for a very long time, some much more so than others. Anyway, I hope you're well in your gardens. Have a great day, have a great summer. I'll see you again next month for In the Garden with MBC. Take care.
Hello, let's get growing live gardening community. I'm Charles Malky, biologist and co-founder of Ivy Organic brand products. Ivory Organic is based on whitewashing, a time-tested way to protect plants from summer sunburn, winter sun scald, pests, transplant shock, and environmental stresses. Unlike latex or tar-based products that crack, peel, and leave residue on your soil indefinitely, Ivory Organic is truly organic and a healthier alternative. It dries on porous, allowing plants to breathe and heal naturally without rotting. Also ideal for protecting your pruning and grafting wounds. Available in white for maximum reflection or natural tones like brown, green, gray, and grayish. Ivory Organic protects while blending beautifully with your landscape. Choose from the whitewash oil-free formula or the 3-in-1 plant guard made with natural oils to help repel insects and rodents. Protect your plants the smart, organic way with Ivory Organic. Learn more at ivoryorganics.com and wishing you all happy gardening.
Got to unmute my mic. All right, we're back at it here on the Let's Get Growing show. Again, thanks to Ivy Organics for being our sponsor. Definitely go and check out ivyorganics.com. Get some of that 3-in-1 plant guard for your garden. Use our promo code GROW10, GROW10, and get 10% off in their shop. And also another big, huge shout out too, as well, to our good friend, Mr. NBC, with all the watering cans. I mean, wow, who knew there were so many different watering cans out there? Something basic and simple that we just don't think of, all the variety and all of that sort of stuff out there too. So again, for those of you who, I like myself, I've got spaces where, you know, I like to go take a watering can out too, so where the hose doesn't quite stretch out to and all of that. So again, really awesome. I love those ones for the kids, all those different varieties of different animals and stuff. That was just really, really cool. Now, leave it to Mark to show us some of the fun, cool stuff, especially the stuff that the kids are going to really enjoy, because you know, he's such a great teacher. He's a garden teacher there at the Montessori school up in Portland, and has so much fun with those kids in the garden and stuff. And I'm sure they love all of those watering cans as well too. And also here, real quick, I did mention already earlier in the show that yesterday's show we had on with us James Weston. Farm Boy James joined us yesterday for a great conversation along with Angela from Hippie Chick Homestead. So if you didn't get a chance to go check out that show, again, go back, check that out, jump into the replay comments and all of that. Last week, though, too, Jay, who's going to be with us here in just a few minutes, had a little bit of a takeover, a J-Bot takeover of the show last Saturday, and her and Joe from Muddy Puddles Farm hung out together and had a great conversation last Saturday. And the Sunday edition last week too, we had a great show. I was back here at it with our good friend John Kohler from Growing Your Greens. It's always great to have John around on the show. Also too, we had a little surprise visit from our good friend Wendy Fan over at Wendyland, jumped in on the conversation for a few minutes there as well too. So that was really fun, really great show last weekend on the show. And usually I'll normally hang or wait until the end of the show, and I'll say it again too at the end of the show as well too, but I want to also give you all a preview of what we got coming up this next week on the show. This is a big weekend we're going to have this next weekend on the show. Two really amazing, awesome, big channels in the gardening community. Next Saturday on the show, we're going to have Brian Lowell joining us from Next Level Gardening. That's right. Brian has been up at the top of my list for guests since we started this show. So it's going to be so amazing, so awesome to be able to catch up with him and learn about what he's got growing on over at Next Level Gardening, as well as our good friend Chad from Down Home Backyard Gardening is going to join us for the Are You Following Me segment. And we're going to have him stick around as well, too, and be a guest co-host for our conversation with his good friend, Brian. Brian's a part of his Coast to Coast videos that he does over at Down Home Backyard Gardening. So it's going to be great. We'll have a fun little kind of conversation between the three of us next Saturday. That's going to be so much fun. So, like, again, this is one of those big reasons why you want to hit that bell notification after you hit the subscribe, so you can be notified and be reminded of our upcoming shows. There's also a reminder button you can hit as well too. We do have those show links and everything up live on our YouTube page too, so you can go hit that reminder if you want to. And also next Sunday, for the Sunday edition of the show, our good friend Mr. NBC, Mark Boucher Colbert, will be here with us live for In the Garden. Yes, that's right. Next week, next Sunday edition is our monthly gardening book club, and Mark joins us live for In the Garden and is our co-host for just another great fun book club. And again, so we got another big, huge guest with us for our book club this month. We've got Mark Valencia from Self-Sufficient Me joining us to feature his very first book. He's a first-time author. His book, 100 Top Crops You Can Grow. It's a really great book. Been really enjoying it. I can't wait to hang out with Mark and Mark, the Mark and Mark show next Sunday. So that's going to be really fun. Really, like I said, just big shows for us next week. So I hope you all mark your calendars, hit those reminders, do all of that sort of stuff, and be sure to be here with us for next Saturday and Sunday's shows. Just going to be really fun. And right on. Also, it's time. Well, I guess it's time to get moving on here today. We got some really fun stuff to talk about and cover here, as we're going to do a little bit of we call it weekend garden adventures. We're going to do a little slideshow with our good friend, the J-Bot. The J-Bot. All right. So let's welcome to the show our good friend, facilitator, producer, all-around helper. It's Jay Dixon, the J-Bot.
Hey, everybody.
Good. Great to have you back on the show. Here we get to hang out together, talk about our gardens and everything. I know you had a great show last Saturday, filling in for me. It was 4th of July for us here in the U.S., so I took the day to hang out with my granddaughter and family and all of that, and you got to hang out with Joe from Muddy Puddles Farm, talking all about some things growing on over there as well too. Tell us a little bit about that show real quick and how much fun that was.
First of all, Jo is always fun. I very much enjoy having her on the show. I've actually interviewed her in the past, and there's probably a link to that. That was a number of months ago. And the key thing was that July 4th is a good day for Americans in terms of personal time and public time and all kinds of stuff happening. Mm-hmm. So I'm from Canada. Joe's from the UK, and we slid right in there and took over your show.
I love it. It's great. It's good too. You know, I mean, I have, and I know everybody knows I've had some days off, but it was nice to kind of have a real day off to go enjoy family, to enjoy this holiday here in the US. And yeah, it was just really fun.
Healthy capers.
I love that too. I preferred hanging out with Jay rather than watching people blow stuff up. That's right.
Yes, blow themselves up sometimes, unfortunately.
As well, too. Yeah. It's one of the things I say, though, too, as well, is that I don't think maybe a little thing here or there or something that I've done over the years, but I don't think in my adult life I've spent any money on any fireworks. Because when it comes down to it, I so many people are doing them. You know, and we got so many shows and all that sort of stuff. And I go into these fireworks stands. I've been in them with my friends and stuff. And I look at the prices and I'm like, just to blow something up for a second, for that second of satisfaction, man, that's a big chunk of coming out of my wallet for each of that sort of stuff. So I've never really paid for it. But, again, I'll take advantage of our community fireworks shows and things like that. And again, too, this is the U.S. of A, America, and people love blowing things up. So everybody's neighborhoods all across this country are lit up, probably the days before and the days after as well, too. So people love their fireworks around here. So I get no shortage of them. That's
yes.
for sure.
I feel actually similarly. I grew up... I guess the fancy term for it is economically disadvantaged.
That
so
is well,
the idea
too.
of actually having spare money to just kaboom things and that was $50. Let's just move along here. And I'm like, I didn't quite get to see that one. Can we see that again? No, you can't. That's $50 is gone.
That $50 is gone. Let's say,
Okay.
oh my, I'm telling you, the amount of money people will spend on some of that stuff, that's something else. But here's the thing, no matter how much, and I know there's a lot of folks who don't like them and don't care for them and all of that sort of stuff. But the problem is that, throughout my whole lifetime, and I know well past my whole lifetime, people have been blowing up fireworks on the 4th of July. And I don't think that's ever going to end, no matter how much a lot of folks wish it to happen or all that sort of stuff. Those poor dogs, and my cat too. I know George. I don't know. I can never find George on, either, the first of the year or on the 4th of July. That cat disappears somewhere, probably hiding and shaking somewhere, wondering what the heck's going on with the world. But I feel for those animals. But again, there's nothing we can really do about it when it comes down to it.
Yes. I guess the key thing is that if I want to see them, there's enough public events, and some of them around here are relatively small, that you can get up close and get a decent show. And I don't know, maybe I'm getting to an age where I've seen so many dozens of them. It's kind of like, And one of my volunteer duties, just to kind of throw another little thing on it, was to clean up after the fireworks. So I used to clean up the goose leavings around the public parks and paths, and I used to clean up the fireworks afterwards. And it would take me, to get all the little bits and stuff, it would take me between 5 and 7 days to get all the little bits that I could find all over. The first scans was for me to try to find all the unexploded stuff.
Yeah.
Because some of it was questionable about the pieces, and I had to make sure kids didn't find them. So I'm, scurrying around trying to find that.
Get her something, right?
Well, quite frankly,
water them down, hose them down.
Oh, I like a mix between things that are kind of technical and things that are nature. And quite frankly, I welcome the days that drone shows become reasonable and affordable and stuff, so that they can be cleaner, more ecological, possibly even quiet, that kind of thing. I actually welcome when that happens. Get some of the nostalgia and stuff with fireworks, but when you're kind of looking for, and I know I'm exaggerating, but unexploded ordnance, so kids don't find them.
Yeah, exactly.
It puts a different thought in your head about, and where they light them here, no judgment. Here's judgment. We do it beside a pond, 5 feet from a pond.
Right.
So when I'm picking up debris, that's what I'm finding on the ground.
Yeah. Oh my. Yeah, exactly, huh?
Yes, I'm finding them in interesting spots. Yes.
Yeah. I like what Lori says here too. I wish they would switch to drone shows. And I will say that here in our Jackson County show, which is done at our fairgrounds and everything, which my daughter and granddaughter and our family went to go watch on last Saturday evening, was the last of the actual fireworks shows that they're going to be doing, and they are switching to a drone show, and that does have to do a lot with the fire danger that we have around here, and and really the expenses that the fire danger has caused, because like it used to be years and years ago, you didn't have to hire so many firefighters and trucks, and they got to spend extra money to have all these extra ones all placed around in different places just to be sure and everything. So they are moving to a drone show down here. And again too, they're going to be real fun. I've seen some really cool ones, as those drones are really, they can do some pretty amazing things. I saw one, I can't remember if it was in Philadelphia or up in Boston or someplace like that up there, was doing like these ones where, in the one clip I saw, it was like these drones were like doing some sort of design and then moved quickly and morphed into like an old revolutionary soldier and a musket and all of that, and the musket moved, like looked like it fired off and everything, all in drones, making these images up in the sky. I thought it was one of the most amazing things. So I'm really looking forward to what they're able to do with these sort of things.
Yep. And there's a number of things that we could talk about, the negative parts of fire danger, the PTSD, patients people who have stress relating it, animals who are stressed, the pollution. There's different negatives thing to it. I get that it's happy, fun times. That's kind of been a history thing, but I would really I really am pleased if we start moving forward from that into something.
Yeah. The only thing I say, and thinking more on the realistic level of all of this sort of thing too, is that, again, the municipalities and this, the counties and the different places that are, putting on these big shows for the community and everything. I love the fact that a lot of them are, and as we're seeing with other places as well too, are switching to these drone shows. But you can't get my neighbor Joe, you know what I mean, or Steve down the road, you know what I mean, to not fire off fireworks or go find them somewhere on, even if it became a black market, you know what I mean. So, and you can find them, you can do all sorts of things to folks, and they just won't stop, you know what I mean. So I'm not sure really on the reality level how far away we're going to get away from some of those dangers and problems and things like that they are. But again, it is nice to see some of them, that at least our government's changing course in what they're doing with that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was fun. It was still fun. It was a great 4th, and it was awesome to have you take over the show and hang out with Joe. And you guys had a really great show. So I encourage everybody, if you didn't get a chance to hang out with them and got some time, go and check out that replay and everything as well too. And as I mentioned, we had John on the Sunday show. That was really fun. But how about this next weekend? Oh man, this next week's going to be really fun, isn't it?
So one message I want to give before we move on to looking at our gardens is listen up, everybody. We have powerhouse people coming in as our guests next weekend. Please think about sharing, sending it out on your social media, whatever. We have really good
guests. I really appreciate.
Not that our past guests weren't fantastic as well.
We always have amazing guests
who happen to have sort of a bigger viewership. They have, more connections in the community and stuff like that. And so, first of all, be here. Second of all, bring some friends. Send it out on social media, whatever you can do. We would love to have good enough numbers next weekend that we have trouble coping.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I think between our two main guests next weekend, they've got like around 4 to 5 million subscribers on their channels and all of that. So, I mean, these are big powerhouse guests that we have next week. So I really want to see everybody out there. And like Jay says, please share with your friends, your communities, all of that, any way you can to help us get some folks out here and join with us this next weekend. It's going to be really, really fun.
Yes.
Awesome. So
related to that, and I'm just going to say this kind of quick.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Is people really have no idea the amount of background work that Enoch has to do to get guests in general, let alone powerhouse guests. It's like, oh yeah, there he is. And he's talking to people and there they are. You have no idea what all it takes in terms of, connections, reconnections, another email. No, not this month, 3 months from now. But no, that's not going to work. On and on and on and on. I need this. Are you sure that time? On and on.
I know someone who really knows about what you're talking about is our good friend Chad over at Down Home Backyard Gardening, who's going to be joining with us on next Saturday's show. And huge shout out to him for his help. You know what I mean? A lot of times, like you said, I'm scrambling and email after email. I've had guests that it's taken me, a year or more to get a date down where we can have them on the show and all of that. But Chad was just a huge help with us in getting Brian on the show and everything. So again, really, again, thank you for the thanks for that and all. But let's give Chad a huge shout out as well too for next Saturday's show too. So it's going to be, again, really great. Really looking forward to it. Like I said, Brian's been one of my favorite YouTube gardeners for a long time. And when I thought of this show, he was one of those first people I was thinking of, like, oh, I got to get this guy. Like Mark was up there, Brian was up there, and have them both on in the same weekend. This next weekend is just going to be absolutely fantastic. I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. So I hope you all get a chance to make it over here with us. So, all right, let's get to, you went out and shot some pictures. I went out and shot some pictures yesterday, as we didn't know quite what we were going to do today, but it's turned out we're going to do a little garden slideshow. And I haven't got to do this little bumper for a while, so let's do it. It's time for a garden slideshow.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So we're going to do a little, we call Adventures in the Garden today. We're going to have a fun little garden slideshow here. And we're going to start with Jay's garden here. We've got, let me see if I can get this all set up right. Let's add this to the stage. Boom. Starting right off here.
Yes. So we're hoping this works out. I had to pile drive the questions, the pictures in a big hurry. So hopefully this all works out. Have a little patience with us if we have a hiccup or two. This is my home garden, and I'm showing various different aspects of it. So this is my little tiny home. I live in a tiny home village in a little tiny home, and you're kind of going, what kind of crazy bacon rack things going on there? That's what I use for a range of different purposes. It's just a rack that I have outside. You can imagine for growing and stuff like that on it, plants that have to go into quarantine, things that have to go into shade. And on there right now is you're looking and going, what's going on? What that is a whole bunch of grapevines I harvested out of my hedge because my hedge had more grapevines than is good. And I ripped them out, and then with the green still on, turned them into wreaths so that the leaves are still there. And as you can see, they're browning off. You can just kind of rub them off fairly soon, and then I'll have grapevine wreaths. And one of the weird things that I do in my tiny village is some years for Christmas, every year I give Christmas gifts to all of the staff and employees here in the tiny village. It's usually 23 to 25 or so of them. And wreaths are part of that. And I like having natural stuff made from local stuff. So that's 5 or 6 grapevine wreaths in progress.
Ooh.
And those are my goosey friends. A few of you have seen me with different things. I'm a bit of an odd duck myself. So those are my goose friends. And I like wearing costumes, and so do my geese. They like coming into that. And it just happens that today they're slices of pizza because they are. But I'll tell you, kids love it. Just love it. They actually get disappointed when the costumes don't change soon enough.
Yeah, I love the fact that you got the geese out front with just as much costume fun as you have yourself too. So that's really awesome.
Yep. And this is part of my garden being shot kind of from the back, a little seating area. And then what you're starting to see in the foreground in a line there is a starting of, you might call it the beginnings of a food forest. Those are fruit trees. So there's an apple and then a peach and then another apple. And then I have a thick hedge behind. And you might see closer up later, but I have a bunch of little cane fruit in containers for now because I need them to not get too carried away. So yes, Dusty Flats, we use the seed starting racks for drying also for the shed and greenhouse. And so here in Minnesota, I should dress up a gray duck instead of a goose. Well, you might be able to see a picture later. Someone here in the village about 10 days ago donated a gray goose to me as well.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
You may
Lori over at Kelpie Capers Farm asks, Jay, first my geese would hate the clothes. She's probably talking about live geese though too. Where yours are little statues. But second, how many tiny homes roughly are in your community?
Okay, I don't want to be too specifically identifiable for,
right,
as Shawnee puts it, operational security, but between 400 and 500 Yeah.
Ooh, wow, that's a lot. That's
Is it?
that's more than I was thinking.
Oh, okay. Well,
You know,
yeah.
we've talked for a couple of years. I didn't think there was that many.
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. A nice mix of people. You get your whole range of different people. And by the way, love the questions. Don't mind the questions. So let's flip to something else and see what else there is. This is my backyard. My backyard is very, very tiny. There's a patio to the right, a tiny little seating area, and all of that is in full shade the whole day. I get sunshine for like 20 minutes or something at the beginning of the day. So everything in that garden is all shade-loving plants and stuff that take care of themselves. They do not need water. They do not need weeding. They do not need pulling or care. The only thing I have to do is the ivy gets a little out of control once in a while, and I have to tame that. But it's all stuff that is intentionally leave it alone and just let it be.
Yeah.
And those are my very first peaches I've ever had.
Ooh.
They are a little premature. You can see they're just
Yeah.
starting up. It's a second-year tree. Oh no. Anyone who knows anything about, orchard care knows second year I shouldn't really be letting those fruit go. But my partner here in the tiny home village, he has his own place. He was very, very sad that all of the peaches had to go. So I make it so there's limited peaches, so that, limited peaches.
Excellent. Yeah. Dusty here, I think, do you get to use the rest spot, or does your mind keep you upright and moving?
I'll tell you, no, I do not. Periodically someone visits and I sit down and have a little chat with them or something, because I feel like I should be more social than I am. But really busy. I actually now have 3 apple trees and a peach, and I was kind of looking at other trees, but my yard is very, very tiny. So, yes. But I'm moving in a direction so that instead of ornamental stuff, which is what I inherited, I'm moving to food. And that's what most of you will see here. This arch here was another gift from someone that was changing things out here in the park and decided that they wanted that arbor gone. So I rebuilt it, and it's growing up. There's like a window box on the side there, on each side. And that is pole beans doing their own pole bean thing. Other than watering, I'm just letting them go.
Yeah.
And there's some other food containers to the left as well.
Yeah. I love the using like alternate spaces like this as well too. Just an entryway where you can have some things growing right up there. Those things, again, I'm sure are just starting to get going too. They'll probably have that thing taken over here in the next few weeks, right?
Well, the usual thing would be something ornamental, but I think partly because I grew up fairly food insecure and I don't have a ton of money even now. Fresh fruits and vegetables are very expensive and the quality isn't that great in the store anymore. So I've got now, as a gardener, the skill and the power myself that to help in terms of being a little more self-supporting, self-sustaining, is grow my own stuff. So let's see another picture. And that one there is my first apple tree ever. And it produced last year, and it's a Nordic variety of apples. And the pruning on it, I pruned it for the first time in 5 years. I tried to get people who know orchard care to help me, but they kept letting me down. So I did my very best Google review to try to see what to do. And I hope the tree will forgive me if I'm made a mistake or two. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. Hopefully they're forgiving. A lot of stuff is anyway. So.
Yes.
All right. What do we got?
Okay, so that's just a central garden that's still being worked on. And you can see I'm sort of creating my own sculptures in the middle there, not quite finished. And there's, again, more plants that literally just take care of themselves. And they're in about 70% shade most of the time. And eventually I might do something more fancy with them, but basically I just leave them to do their own little plant things.
Now, is this something you've constructed or put together out of like found items or something?
Yep, found items, salvage. And I've actually got 2 huge petals made out of metal art that are going to go on top of there. So they're going to be massive flowers as
wow.
flowers. and maybe a couple of actual petals, like, to look like petals. But the
Yeah.
idea is that it's a sculpture that as you walk through my side yard, it kind of gives you a destination and a purpose to see
Yeah.
these pieces of yard art.
Are
But
you
all
thinking any
salvage,
some vining things at all, maybe that you
yep, there's
grow
some of
up
that.
it as well?
Possibly. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm making it up as I go along. It's all salvage. And this is
Yeah.
my front porch, and that's how it looks. And what you're seeing is a bit of ornamental off to the right, a little bit to the left, but on those banisters on the top is all salad greens. That is
Oh,
all
yeah.
walk out the door, feel like a salad, deep, 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 deep. There
Or
it is.
those cool type of pots that can sit right on a railing too,
Correct.
right? They got the
Yes,
little
I bought those at the end of the season for like 75% off at a big box store. And I actually, that reminds me, after the show I have to go out and water them again. But that's mostly all salad stuff because that area is primarily in shade, and other stuff has a hard time. But in the summer, to some degree, at least in the early parts of the summer, salad greens are fairly happy there.
Yeah, that's a really a great place for them. Perfect types of containers as well as, greens and salads just don't need much root space. So you
And
can kind of just pack a few varieties in there, right?
And just to remind you guys, I'm living in a tiny home, so not a lot of space both in my yard and in my house. That little porch is just big enough that 2 chairs kind of just fit and nothing else. So I'm trying to still get my greed for plants still satisfied, but again, I focus mainly on food.
Yeah, really great. Let's see here. Oh, again, I'm trying to work this from 2 different screens. It's
Yep,
something new to
bring
me
it.
here, so we'll get them moving along here.
So
This
that's
is
what they
this is
look
yeah,
like.
we're looking right at them here now, huh?
Yep. So there's some radish and a couple of different types of lettuce, and I'm not sure what else I put in there. Maybe a little bit of some small carrots or something like that. But basically, there was and a tiny bit of peas, just so to have some pea shoots in the salad as well.
Ooh.
There wasn't a lot of thought and organization going on. I was unwell this spring, and that meant that most of my planting happened in haste. So there was a
Mhm.
lot of chanting going on in my head and a little bit out loud going, seeds and soil, like just quickly, better in the packet from the package into the soil, and just put it in. So there wasn't a whole lot of garden planning
Kinda
going
like a
on.
little, chaos container gardening, right?
Yeah. I
A
think
little
Miss
throwback to
Missy.
yesterday's show.
So this is the path to my side yard, like how
Another
it looks as you
cool
kind of
arbor
see
there, huh?
from my place. Yeah, that was actually a gift from a person here, in my village. Yep.
Awesome.
And those are all cane fruit. So again, towards the direction of a food forest, I got some bargain cane fruit of different type, and they're all in there. And it's a little hard to tell in this picture, but to the far left is my first ever fig plant. And I
Ooh.
had transplanted that. And Miss Figgy, which is a Fignominal, which is a dwarf Chicago hardy,
Okay.
is I have to make some decisions towards the end of the season. Is Miss Figgy going to be kind of semi-buried outside to handle our winters, or is Miss Figgy coming into the tiny home with me? I'm gonna keep getting information and deciding. So
Yeah. Again, I'm in a little bit warmer climate though too, and I have the Chicago fig as well, and mine's just doing really well, and does just fine in our winters here. So
Darth
but
X,
yours is a little bit more colder though.
yep, Darth X raspberries would be good in those containers. All of those except Miss Figgy are cultivars of raspberries. They each
Mhm.
left their tags on because I am not the kind of person who does note species or types or anything like that. That discussion of the Fignominal is just about all you're going to hear of proper names. I'm just food good, plants good, it's happening. But those are all different cultivars of raspberries is what those are.
Like I was saying, I need to get me some more container raspberries too. I miss those in my garden.
Yep. So Shawnee's given me another quick bit of advice, and it's a little hard to see in this picture, but to the far left is Miss Figgy, my Fignominal. She says,
Yeah,
I've
let's
seen
get
growers
leaves
south
there.
of me bury the fig pot, cover with a barrel, and surround with hay bales. I think that I'm just going to bring mine inside. The catch is that when you bring it inside, any plants you bring inside, what are you bringing with it in terms of disease
Yeah,
in the soil, on the plant, blip, 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 blip. And there are ways to get around it, and there's plus and minuses to each. And yep, so here's someone mentioning tayberries, and I think I have tayberries and a few others. I just couldn't quote all the different varieties I have, but they're variations of raspberries.
awesome, awesome. And we got a couple more containers here.
in
Looks like
my-
some chard and stuff in there.
Yeah, so in my driveway, I have 6 containers like that alongside my driveway. So in those, as you can see, I am so plant greedy. There's a lot of stuff in there. So there's more than there really should be. And there's some Swiss chard. There's a couple of tomatoes in cages. There's a little bit of lettuce. There is some leeks, and there is some peppers. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was the odd other thing squeezed in there of different varieties and different types. Should that much stuff be in those kind of containers? Probably not. But again, I am plant greedy. So
That's right.
and I don't always have perfect success with a lot of my plants. So it surprises me when things grow properly and fully to their correct and full height without problems. So that's what it looks like along my driveway. And you can see the one to the left has been partying a little too hard.
Yeah, I was gonna say they got a little rocking a little, but that one's really rocking, right?
Yeah. I need to. Literally, it is rocks underneath it, and I need to level out the rocks. But those things have been with me for like 30 years along one driveway or another, usually in rental accommodations. But it's a way for me to produce food and have it by the side of the road. And sometimes what I do in the summer is I'll invite kids that from the park, a couple of them, 2 or 3, that are friends or relatives of people I know, and they come in and they grocery shop out of my driveway, and then later you'll see my garden, so that kids can see where food comes from and make comments on it, and basically harvest instead of at a store. And you know what? A lot of kids don't know where food comes from.
Right. It's pretty amazing too, and that's why it's important to include them in on our gardening projects and things like that, so they can really learn and understand that. And again, and hopefully, you get your kids in the garden and you get them growing things, and they won't turn out to be kids like me growing up who are just totally, no veggies. I didn't, that sort of thing. Kids who work and grow and around gardens and that sort of stuff are more likely to actually enjoy those more nutritional foods.
I remember one time one of the adults who had brought a couple of kids to my place and, brought shopping bags and said, let's pick out different things that we can have for lunch and for supper and all that kind of thing. And then later that person coached the kid and goes, okay, so where did we get vegetables from today? And the kid says in a high little kid squeaky voice goes, Jay's driveway, instead of saying from the garden or something.
That's right. Yeah, that's awesome. We got it from Jay's driveway. You can find food in the craziest places.
Well, you can.
This is back. I think we had a double there.
So this is kind of how you enter from the road to my place. So it's just kind of giving you some sense of it isn't a lot of space. What you're seeing, the big bunches are ornamental, left over from the previous person. And I'm toying with the idea of slowly reducing the ornamental and replacing it with food type crops over time, little bit by little bit. But that's kind of like what my place looks like.
Nice.
And so now we're actually somewhere else. I actually take care of currently multiple gardens, but the ones that I actually have responsibility for is 6 of them, and this is one of them. And that is some of the stuff in a raised bed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, I gotta work my way back around. Here we go.
And again, that's a different angle of that same raised bed. What's happened is these people in Garden 1, they are not able to garden this year. So they basically loaned me the garden for a while, for a couple of months. And that's what it looks like from the outside of where is the raised bed and what else is in there. So the types of things, it's not a very picturesque garden, and I got it a little late in the season. But in there are things like 2 types of tomato plants, cucumbers, pumpkins, some other squashes, potatoes, and then in the raised beds is beans. What else is in there? Carrots, and turnips.
Too many to name.
Many. Yes. So anyway, some of that stuff may get donated to the food bank. I've listed for them charitable purposes, and then as they get productive, we'll decide where they go to. So this is an example of some of the squashes that are coming on. Small, but at least something is happening there.
Yeah.
And this is
I like that
one. This is
raised
Garden
bed.
2. So they did a stand-up raised bed. They first planted it and not very well, so that one's not terribly productive right now. So I'm going to see what I can still plant later in the season. Probably bush beans will go in there. And then
that's a really cool. I love
that's
the
Garden 2.
elevated beds for sure.
So that's Garden 2 in the community garden, where some people aren't able to garden this year, so they loan me space to do charitable growing. And this is one of their raised beds. I had deliberately left a lot of stuff last season to go to seed. So that is Robin's dream there of a whole bunch of plants going to seed on purpose to produce food seed.
Yeah.
The next one is the other raised bed, and that one is some very late tomatoes.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say.
we'll see if they will get the full season or not. There were some people who I was trying to help but had not full gardener knowledge. So it's hopeful that those things will go to full maturity.
Yeah.
And that's the entrance to that garden. So that's Garden 2. That again, those people aren't able to garden this year. So I'm trying to utilize the space, keep it tidy, and also utilize it as well. So we have a community garden with 44 plots. Sometimes people can't get to gardening and they loan me space. So that's Garden 2. And that's Garden 3. That's another one that I just got 2 weeks ago. In there, you won't be able to see a whole lot of detail, but basically that's a whole bunch of other crops that again are going to the food bank. The tall stuff in the back is actually kale that I convinced them to leave to go to seed. Yeah.
So gonna have a ton of good kale seed then.
So it's not a very impressive picturesque garden, but imagine that it is at least tidy.
Skip one.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Yep. And so that's some of the little tomatoes that I have in there, peas to the front. There's going to be kale, like small new kale coming in, and then a whole bunch of squash at the back, just various different squashes, both summer and winter squashes. Mostly summer are going to be coming in there. The plants are starting, but it's not very impressive because, again, I only got that 2 weeks ago. So I was trying to figure out what I could do to get production. And that's all 100% to the food bank.
Awesome.
That's
awesome.
Garden 3. Yeah. So this one here is Garden 4, and it's got a whole bunch of potato plants coming up in it at the front, and they're just starting. Again, I got this one about 2 weeks ago. It was going to sit fallow with no use, and I am turning it into food for the food bank.
Yeah. And some of these spaces too that you're just getting, are you also thinking towards the fall growing season or more fall type crops, or can you do that?
I haven't thought that far. We're allowed to do things like that here. I'm the only one who does, but it's loaned space, so I don't jump too far ahead. And then you can see there's some squashes starting to come in. That one is 2/3 squash and 1/3 potatoes, because that's what I had. And there wasn't a lot of decision making going on. They just said, "Hey, Jay, I know you do cool things for food charities. I can't use my space this year. You can have it. Can you get in there tomorrow?" And I went, "Yeah, okay.
We can do it. We'll get it done."
Yeah. And so that's what that one looks like from the outside, that particular garden plot that I was just loaned. And so this one is, I think, garden plot number 4. And this particular one is a raised bed situation with straw bales in the back. So
the straw bales you've been working on.
So I'm doing a little bit of straw bale gardening. You'll see a few pictures here. This one has, those are my straw bales. Shawnee, you can pay attention here. I did 3 rounds of cucumbers that never worked out in the straw bales. Those are squash. And as you can see, they're starting to do the little squashy cells. I hope it works out. My first time ever in terms of straw bale gardening. There's a bunch of reasons for it that I've discussed on the show before. But the key thing is new, different things. Gardener after, 40, 50 years, still learning new stuff. And that's one. Yeah. And so that's what that garden looks like from the outside when you approach it. Most of the straw bales, the big ones, are to the right. There's little sneaky small ones at the front. At the far back is some asparagus fronds, because they're finished their season. There's some tomatoes. There's a whole bunch of bush beans. There's a whole bunch of carrots. There's cucumbers and beets and more squashes and just all kinds of stuff going on there. Yeah.
Lots and lots of stuff in that one.
Yep. And this is another thing in that same one. You can see the small square bales, straw bales at the front, and then just some tomatoes in a bucket because we ran out of space.
To the bucket you go.
So this is another garden. I think this is garden number 5. Those are my sunchokes, which I thought I had lost, and they came back. They should have been way taller, more picturesque. They should be doing much better, but thank goodness they did come back. I was very fearful I'd lost them, and just some decorative things at the front, just to kind of pretty them up a little. Yeah.
Oh, right on.
And that's the front of that garden. I think that's garden number 5 or 6. And at the very front there is some forget-me-nots just to try and attract pollinators, and a little bit of chives, and then some kind of like pretty fake flowers at the front just to kind of art it up a little.
Yeah.
And that's that garden from way back. There's a whole bunch of potatoes in there. That garden had multiple gardener errors that happened. So we had to basically replant, I'd say, 2/3 of this garden completely again. What was the gardener mistake? The major one the gardener made was she found baby bunnies in that garden and was sweet and kind and left them in their little nest. But what do bunnies are going to need little later on in their lives? Your vegetables.
That's right. They're going to need to eat, and they eat a lot.
Ate carrots and onions and squash plants and beans. They ate so many beans. I literally was beanless. So I actually had to replant almost everything. And that's my addition of replanting throughout at least 2/3 of that garden, because I was sweet and kind-hearted about those so cuddly bunnies, but the cuddly bunnies didn't move on as well as I'd hoped when they were fully fledged. So they stuck around and had all-you-can-eat buffet. So
Does he like bunnies get the boot? Yeah.
Well, I did urge them on when I was sure they were fully fledged and okay, But that was a gardener error because they ate out 2/3 of my garden.
Oh my. Oh my.
Yeah. So, yes. So just again, that's just another, that's a whole bunch of rhubarb.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like some rhubarb leaves there.
Almost all my rhubarb is accounted for. I will be splitting and doing more, but I give all of my rhbarb to a nonprofit seniors dinner.
Okay.
Nonprofit senior dinners in my nearby community twice a month, and they are fully rhubarbed out because that is one of the main contributions I give to them. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, another one of those rail containers.
Correct. I have 4 there on what I now will call my main garden. This is my garden that I did a lot of work on. The last weekend when I had Joe Muddy Puddles here, I gave you guys 4 or 5 pictures. This is that main garden. This is the one I've been working on for 20 years, trying to organize, make right and stuff. 90% of everything you see here is salvage, including those rail containers. They were by the side of the road. Somebody was tired of them, and I thought, pick those orphans up. They needed.
And what do we got in there? Some beans or something?
Beans. Those are bush beans. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
And so that is as you enter through the main gate and see my garden. It's everyone in our community garden. It's a 10 by 20 foot plot. And that is what I did to use mine. It's got trellises that are, again, found trellis material, like out of metal recycling. The wood is salvaged wood in every respect except for a couple pieces. And then I have galvanized metal raised beds that I just purchased and assembled this spring. And that's what those look like there. So there's a whole range of stuff in there, including a great many tomatoes, a whole lot of cucumbers, carrots, bush beans. And when we switch over later, we'll see there's a little edge there of brassicas. I have a whole bunch there. So there is 2 types of kale. There is 3 types of cabbage. There is kohlrabi. There is some.
And we should definitely expect that your space specifically is going to be really packed. I mean, look at that.
Actually, knowledgeable gardeners will look at that and go, that's a little tight considering things are going to keep growing for another 10 weeks. And you would be so right as a knowledgeable gardener to think that. I am not usually this successful at gardening. My gardening does not usually look that flush and full and mature and wonderful. So I planted as if it normally does, where it doesn't get that.
Yeah.
So now I'm a bit crowded out. So I have made another little gardener error there in that I didn't plant for full maturity of the plant because it doesn't normally go that well. And then more of the same of the things that I'd been talking about previously, all in there. And I have little window boxes, again, salvaged by the side of the road.
Oh, this is down low on the edge of the side there.
Yeah, that most people
on the outside.
Correct. So they're on the outside. So it's to kind of pretty up the garden so that when people approach, that's one of the things that they see. So that's my main garden with the tomato plants and all kinds of stuff going on there. I emphasize here, I am plant greedy. I actually am going to have to go in there and prune and make airspace and stuff, because if you don't, the likelihood of disease and stuff is going up because I have the plants a little too tight in there. But it's not normally that full and wonderful. It just isn't. Yes.
Yeah, no, it looks great. Looks awesome. Looks like everything's just going really well. A really great season going on there for sure.
Great.
So yeah, right on. Now I got to figure out here real quick.
Yep. You do that, and I will sort of talk on, so you focus on what you need to do there. Enoch's going to do a couple technical magical things to try and switch over to his show. But in the meantime, basically what I was showing you guys was kind of like my gardening life, what I do at home, what I do in our community garden that has 44 plots, and people loan me space. And I also, within that garden space, I help other people in different ways, like people who go on vacation, people who are recovering from surgery, people who are injured in some particular way, different things like that. So I try to do things like, we often have seniors in there that the work of getting the garden plot ready is more than they can do. And so I help them out to that level. And that's kind of like where I when we talk about gardeners in our lives, this is where I live as equally as my actual home.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I wish I had more. I mean, I've had years that were very much like that. I wish I had a little bit more time when it comes to my garden spaces and all of that. So as I'll show you here with my slideshow here and talk about some of the things that I've got growing on. It isn't as much as what I would normally have. I would like, packing up my spaces and doing all sorts of really cool stuff and everything. But, we still got a lot of, in my mind, more than what I was anticipating. And with this season, like been talking about, things are doing really, really well. So even though it's not quite where I want it to be, it's actually really nice in the long run. So no problem there. All right, let's see here. I think I got this right here. Okay, so now it's my turn to talk around and tell you about a little bit what we got growing on here.
So what are we looking at?
We are looking at my peach tree. We were looking at your first peaches anyways, and this is my frost peach tree, which it's this year. Soon as we get fruit off of it, they're getting closer. I am going to start transplanting all of my container trees into some larger pots that a friend gave me this last winter. So I've got a bunch of really cool bigger pots for them to move into. So, I've been really enjoying this peach tree. It's puts out these really cool little peaches and everything. I get lots of good, delicious ones off of it. But, with a little bigger pot size this next year, a good transplanting and everything, we might even have an even bigger and better tree this next season with some, maybe even a little, the fruits might even size up just a little bit more, hopefully. So we'll see. And there's one of them right there. It's coming along. It's getting closer.
Yes.
We're getting closer, probably another couple weeks away, and they'll be ready to fall right off of that tree. But it's one of my favorite things that come out of the garden are the peaches. I love peaches as far as tree fruits are concerned. They're probably my ultimate favorite. So it's good that we have a great peach tree that really produces for us each year. Fuzzy for sure. Definitely a peach, right? Oh, and here's okay, so I think we are a little out of order here, but that's all right. This is a nice close-up here of one of my figs. This is a fig that I've grown the last couple of years and hasn't really produced for me. And this year we got a bunch of little figs popping on it. Wow. It's growing right up here at the front of our alleyway as we start to enter the alleyway. I've got it in this space here. And again, this one, as well as another one that I have, will be moving up into a larger pot that we have. So again, it'll love the extra room, and again, probably expand and grow out. I've got to do some pruning too. So I'm going to kind of wait towards the end of the season, and we're going to cut it and get some pruning off of it. Maybe even give out some of those scions and stuff that we get off of it and everything too. But kind of excited to see how it tastes. I haven't had a chance to check this one out and see how it tastes. So
I've heard but not experienced that figs off the tree is just a whole different thing than any of us are used to.
Yeah. Oh man. And I've been getting figs off of that Chicago I was telling you about, and it's just delicious. And as we'll see here in a minute, it's really starting to produce as well. This here is, again, something kind of a theme around the garden as well, too, is a watermelon got grown out of one of our 5-gallon wicking pots. It's just a sugar baby, so we're not growing like a large fruit. We're growing some of the smaller fruits, and I've had success right out of these 5 gallons. Just a 5-gallon pot with these sugar baby varieties of watermelon. So I had several different little starts. I started more than I needed, and then of course it comes down to it, right? We're planting them out in the spaces I wanted them to go into. And then I looked at the other little starts and was like, well, that one can go there, and then this one can go there, and so I just put them around in places. Some haven't done so well, and some are actually doing pretty well too. So. It's pretty exciting to have some watermelons growing around the gardens this year.
Well, one of the realities of being a gardener is you do a lot of exhausted and panicked thinking or non-thinking.
Every year too. I mean, every year I'm like, okay, I don't know about this, or I'm worried about whether this is going to work out or something like that. And in the long run, I need to do less of that. but I never learn. It's always the same every year. I wonder if they're going to grow, if they're going to have enough time to produce or do all of these sort of things when it comes down to it. And really, just get them in the ground, let them go. We have a nice long growing season around here. So, when it comes down to it, our plants will do fine.
Yes.
And as you saw there, these are our big 45-gallon felt pots that we got. I got like a bunch of these from what is it, Johnny Appleseed Organics. I was in one of their competitions several years ago, and they sent out some of these pots for us, and I just been growing them along the alleyway ever since. And again, these are probably the best tomatoes we have out of all the different tomatoes that we have in the garden. We have a bunch of other really great ones as well. But, so right in the center and on the two outer edge ones there. And the one in the middle is a big, what is it? Big beef. It's a beefsteak variety. And this one here, I'll actually tell people, is that this one in the middle is actually one my daughter started. And she went, and I had her go out and plant it. And I have her make sure she comes in and keeps an eye on it. And, I do most of the watering and all of that. But, when she comes around, I'm making her water and do all of that. So in the long run, this is kind of like her first real plant, and it really is the best one out of all of them too. It's just kind of crazy.
Well, that plant helps,
yeah
reinforce it for the non-gardener.
And then over on the left side there on the end, we have a Cherokee purple, and over on the other side of it there on the end, we have another big variety called Big Rainbow. Yeah. And it actually, the pictures I see of the fruits kind of look like a pineapple tomato I've grown before. They kind of got the same colors and similarities to them. So I'm kind of interested in what the difference in taste is, because I really love the pineapple tomatoes. I used to get seeds from Territorial Seed for those. And but we're growing this Big Rainbow. A friend of mine gave me this start. Someone I met through an old channel many, many years ago who lives nearby me. And she gave me a couple of varieties of tomatoes from her tomato collection this year. So that one's there.
We have a question. Dusty Flats is asking, has it been dry there, Enoch?
Well, I would say, as we got towards mid-spring, it started to dry up a little bit. We've had a couple of rains, not much, but we are in the dry season. June, I think maybe we had like a day or something in June that had a little bit of rain, but for the most part, June, July, August, September, until like end of September, there's no rain. It is dry. So we do got to make sure we're out there watering consistently and making sure these things, in these pots and containers, we got lots of containers, that they're not drying out for sure.
And just a quick note to people in the audience or people who are listening on the replay later on is note that difference. He's talking about how dry it is in his season. I practically live in an aquarium.
Yeah.
The humidity is anywhere between 60 and 90%. We would have gills if possible.
Right, exactly.
So, moisture and too much of it is a problem for us, whereas he's talking about. So when people give you gardening advice that is bland without considering your conditions and your situation, kind of give it a bit of the side eye. Kind of go, well, I'm going to verify and check with local people or local information or whatever, because different advice for different places. Some things can be general, but some things are very specific.
Yeah. And you talk about planting a bunch of things in your containers and all of that. So we had the 3 tomatoes in the middle and on the ends, but the 2 containers that kind of in the middle of those, I've planted out some peppers. So we've got a pepper variety here. I believe these ones are the Anaheim peppers. So we got some Anaheim pepper here. And you can't quite see the front there, but down below those, we've got a couple of okra. They're popping up through there. And then in the very front, we've got some cantaloupe. I'll show you here in another picture here. But these are some of the tomatoes in that center tomato, the big beef one, that my daughter's tomato plant. And it's got, like I said, it's got tons of these just delicious looking, nicely shaped tomatoes. They're just prolific. And not only that, as you move towards the top of the plant, there's just more and more flowers, more and more of them start. This thing is going to produce so much. I'm just not even going to put more tomatoes off this one plant than I've seen on all of my plants over the last several seasons, for sure.
I'm just going to throw in this comment real quick. Adam Burley, May to current, we've had total of, and I leaned in because I wanted to make sure I saw this, 0.91 inch of rain.
Not even an inch.
Yeah, not even an inch. And I was like, whoa.
And if we're lucky, there might be a little storm or something that rolls in at some point in time and maybe bump that up to 1 inch before late September. But that's it. That's it for the whole summer.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So here's that cantaloupe. Like I was saying, so we got the peppers in the back. There's a couple of okra kind of getting ready to pop up through there. The okra, man, usually grows so well for me. I mean, they're having some trouble this year for sure, but they're going to try to pop up through there. But then we got these cantaloupe right in the front on both of those middle ones here, and they're just starting to take off now. They're starting to head everywhere and grow all over the place and everything. And I haven't seen any fruit yet, but I imagine that's probably popping up here in the next few days. And then here's my Chicago Hardy.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's just doing really great. And mind you, you see that container there? Looks like it's growing in a container. I had to move some things around, was trying to get some things adjusted. My idea was like, oh, let me move this to kind of go over here or something like that. Well, we went with a friend of mine to try to pick that up, and it's not going anywhere. No, I think the roots have grown through the bottom, and I think that is now an in-ground tree.
Yes. I have that issue right now with some of my raspberries in one of those gardens. Is I was wise to put them in a container, except that I see there's escapees, and I have not tried to lift them. They're about to fruit in the next couple weeks, and I decided they're staying where they are for a while till after fruiting season, and then I'll revisit my error of my ways. Yeah.
All right. I'm just looking at time right here now. I'm just going to warn everybody. I think we're going to be going over a little bit here today because I want to get through this here today. So I'll just give you a little bit of heads up that I think we'll probably go over it a few minutes today. But here's a nice close up of the figs. And, I mean, I thought we got quite a bit off of it last year when it was growing. This year, I mean, probably twice as much. Just on its first flush. This is the first ones coming in. We'll start picking these when they start ripening up, and they'll come off of that tree until the end of the season. There's going to be a ton. It's going to be, they're so good. Like we're saying, you can't beat fresh figs off of a tree. And then this is another variety of fig that I have in a smaller container. I put we got a bigger one that I want to put it into, but I think I'm going to just size it up slowly. So we'll put it in this next one, and then next year I'll put it in one of those bigger ones that the other one goes to. But I'm just waiting again till the end of the season, and then I'll start transplanting all the different trees and everything into newer containers. But this is another variety I'm not sure of what it is. I'm sure there's a marker, or I've talked about it in a video a couple years back or whatever. So I'm still yet to go back and go through and try to figure out again what variety this is. But again, it's popping off a bunch of figs on it for such a little tree, but they got these cool little colors and stripes to them and everything that's a little bit different than from our other figs that we have growing on the other trees. So I'm real interested in what that is. I'm gonna have to send this picture over to our friend over at Phil's Figs and see if he might have an idea of, at least, maybe kind of an idea of what kind of variety it is based on how it looks.
Yes.
And this is one of my raised beds that we've got along the alleyway here with the cool cattle panel trellis that goes up the back side of it there. And growing in there, we've got up front. Can you guys see can you see the I think you can see the cursor there. So up front there, we've got a bunch of beets that are growing. Oh, real quick here though, too, right on the side there, on the left side, are a bunch of bearded iris.
Oh yes, I grow those.
I
Yeah.
I had one bearded iris that grew in a crack on the side of the house when I first moved here 15 years ago. And it grew a couple of years out of that little crack and only produced one flower, never expanded, never did anything because it was just in this little. And so many years ago, I pulled that thing out and placed it into the spot in the alleyway there. And over the last few years, that thing has proliferated into, I think I pulled out probably 100 or so different separate plants out of that to break it down to probably, I think there's probably about 5 to 10 that I left in there in that space.
Wow.
But those things, they'll spread and grow and produce new plants like crazy. It was amazing the difference of how they started producing so much compared to the one that just grew out of it, for those first few years. But I found that to be really interesting and also a lot of work as I was trying to pull out all these different plants and everything to break it down. And I'm sure it'll expand and want to grow as many over the next couple of years as well, too. We also got a couple of different vining beans. I think we just got some regular like Kentucky Wonders on each end, or no, on the one left end over here. And then I think there's a, it's really escaping me now too. I can't remember exactly which variety that was, but it's another vining pole bean that's growing up the trellis. And as you see here, as you can tell, there's an onion. I left one onion because where the beets are now, the beets went in after I pulled some onions out of there, and then I left one of them to go to seed. And its seed head is pretty much closed up. The bees are pretty much done pollinating it, and now we're just kind of waiting for it to dry up, and then we can start to collect the seeds off of it. And then, as you can see there at the end, there is a cucumber. It's a Persian cucumber.
Okay.
That I got at the farmer's market and planted that out. And real quick here, this is one of the ends of our vining beans. And when it reaches the top there, I just cut off the ends. I cut off the ends at the top, and that's just going to encourage the suckers, or for it to sucker out and grow and expand outwards versus trying to go up. And they're going to get so unruly and crazy here in just the next couple of weeks that they're not going to be able to be tamed. Also, the best I can do is just kind of cut them off as they're starting to like hang out and try to climb out of the garden.
I have a trellis that's 10 foot by 10 foot.
Mm-hmm.
On the back of my garden. It's not enough.
Yeah, I've got a 10-footer in the back patio too.
Yes.
And it's already up and over it too as well. I was just telling myself I got to get up there and snap that off. Mm-hmm. And then there's the head of that onion. I said we're just waiting for it to dry out, and we'll be able to collect all the seeds from it. And then here's the top of that Persian cucumber growing to the top there. I'm thinking I'm going to be doing the same with this as well too. Gets to the top of this trellis there, and we'll cut off that top growing the growing head of that, and then it'll expand out. And here's some of those cucumbers.
Wow.
Yeah, bunches of them. This thing is going to be so prolific, unbelievable. Y'all know how much I love cucumbers.
And we're rushing through this slideshow, but cucumber was the origin story for Urban Gardener.
This all started with a cucumber. So
yeah.
I love it when I see some good, delicious cucumbers growing. And then this is the other one. We have a identical second raised bed right next to the last one we looked at. And on each end here, we've got a couple of market cucumbers that are growing up each side of that. And I think there's also another down on the bottom there growing out along the bottom is going to be another cantaloupe. And then if you look back behind, that's growing behind there, it looks like a little bush behind there. That's actually a spoon tomato.
Okay, I've heard of those, but never.
And I grew these last year, got one of these spoon tomatoes from Baker Creek the heirloom festival or exposition a couple seasons ago and saved the seeds from it and grew it out last year. And I've never grown a tomato plant that grows like a massive bush like this does. I mean, massive. This is like I would say, if we're thinking of like humans, this is like maybe a 6-year-old or 7-year-old.
Okay.
And what I learned from last year, though, too, is that I'm going to let it grow and kind of blow up behind the trellising there, and anything that comes forward or through the grates of the cattle panel, I cut off. And it just comes off. I'm not letting anything come forward. It'll all just grow backwards and back behind it. So that's how we're going to try to keep it somewhat tamed down. I know I tried to get back there, and hopefully I'm going to try to find it again. But when I was shooting this picture, I was kind of looking up close to it and noticed that there was another volunteer of one of them growing kind of almost next to it back there that I need to go and yank out because we don't need 2 plants there. One is going to be plenty for sure. As you can see, the spoon tomatoes are just little tiny things. That's a fully ripe tomato too.
Yes. Of the bizarre things I've done in life, I was the assistant manager for an urban farm project, and we grew 54 heirloom varieties of tomatoes. And ones that I despised harvesting the most were what we called the currant tomatoes, like that. Pick, trying to on a production level for sale, so that we were okay, because we would create kind of like a variety pack, in a box of different sizes of different tomatoes, and the charm, the accent was those little currant tomatoes. But oh boy, when you're trying to do quantity in a hurry, the little peaky,
I will say, though, probably still for such a tiny tomato, absolutely delicious. I'm not even kidding. They are absolutely delicious and really perfect for salads. You get a nice handful of those and toss those into your salads. Oh, so good. So good. I'm telling you, spoon tomatoes for sure.
Yes.
The only another problem with those spoon tomatoes, though, is like if you try to save seeds, there's probably maybe like 1 or 2 seeds in each one of those. Some of them don't even really, you can't get a seed out. So it takes a lot of them to get like a few enough seeds for seed saving. Yep. Oh, and here's just a little baby cucumber from our the Market More cucumbers that we've got there growing on the edges there. And here we are on the back patio now. This is kind of like one of my little in-ground spaces that I have. This was actually the very first little garden space when I moved here.
Okay.
Because I had this little cemented back patio and I had this little strip, and on the other side of this fence there was actually a big pile of just junk and stuff that was left over and everything, and so I didn't think about that at first at all. So to me, this was my in-ground space. This was like where I could garden from, as I brought my gardening passion from Washington down here to Southern Oregon. Was like, well, what am I going to grow? What am I going to do? And all I had was this little strip. So we started growing peppers and cucumbers and things in there. But anymore, what we have here are volunteer Prax cherry tomatoes, the cherry tomato seeds that I give away on the channel.
Yes.
And again, here, you know what, real quick here. If you want, I can, let me see here. If you want to send an email to theurbangardener@mail.com and you want to get some free Prax cherry tomato seeds, send me an email there to theurbangardener@mail.com, and I will let you know how you can obtain some of these free seeds if you like. I do like to mention that every time I bring these up here for sure, but
great.
These are all they're volunteers, and what you see here also are bush beans in between. Okay. So we got bush bean, or actually, you know what? I think this is some sort of amaranth of some sort that kind of popped up. I'm still trying to figure it out for sure exactly what it is. But the next one over is the tomato, and then bush bean, tomato, bush bean, tomato. That's okay. There. And and here I'm pointing to it, thinking I was showing you. But here, the amaranth, I think, is this here. I'm not sure. And then there's the little tomato, bush bean, tomato. There we go. And let's see here. Let's get moving along here again. Let's see. So there's one of the little Prax cherry tomatoes. a little up close to it. Again, they're just starting to really explode now. These things, once they get going, they start going real quick, and those things will be producing here in no time.
Dusty Flats, perfect use of space, Enoch. I see much more concrete to cover.
I got to have places to walk, though, too. Oh, this one caught a little sideways. We got a little chive flower there in a bucket of chives that I've got growing there. And then this is one of my elevated raised beds, kind of like that, the one that's got legs. So it's got a couple of legs underneath of it there. And this one's a big, deep one that I usually grow my carrots in. But we had some of those micro dwarf tomatoes that I was growing last year. And in the pot that they were growing in last year, we had a bunch of volunteers pop up. So I kind of plucked those out of there, and we kind of put them along the front there. And in the back, you can see there's some more of our watermelon varieties. I think this one, though, in there, because it's such a big, deep bed, I think I put a larger variety of watermelon in there to see if we can get some larger fruits from a larger container like that. And then we've got like a couple of 6-packs here of some leeks that I'm about ready to start planting out into one of our other side spaces that we've got. And these leeks will be ready in the wintertime. So this is kind of part of my fall winter planning that we've got going on. So we got some leeks there. Yeah. And then nice and up and close of our little micro dwarfs as they're starting to grow up there. And then this is some of our more of our 5-gallon wicking buckets. And these are my pepper experiment I've kind of mentioned before, where most of the peppers, I've got a few different varieties in some other places around the garden. But here and in a couple of other places are a variety of a Sugar Rush peach that have been producing a different type of what I call a puckered, instead of a straight pointed end like an ahi variety. They are the pointed end actually points inside. It's inverted into the pepper pod. So I've been breeding those specific pods for a couple of generations now to see till I can get a more stable plant that's producing a majority of those types of peppers. And then when that happens, I'll start saving seeds and sending those out as my own variety of the Sugar Rush peach.
Great.
We call them puckered. Sugar Rush peach puckered.
Okay. And another quick thing regarding the wicking buckets, there are several videos if you go back in the archives about how to create wicking buckets. Yeah,
I love these. And again, we're talking about watering cans or watering and those sort of things earlier. These got this little spout. You fill up the bottom reservoir, and during the hottest days, they'll get me through 2-3 days, before I have to worry about making sure that they're filled up again. Even sometimes, when it's in a little bit cooler, a little bit longer, that sort of thing. But I get it, 3 days or so off of these buckets during the hottest time of the year. So I don't have to worry about them drying out.
And just a quick reminder for people, we're going to be running just a little bit to finish the slideshow.
Good, yeah. Just a few more to go here.
Yep.
And this kind of an up close of the Sugar Rush peach there's. It's producing some flowers, and we'll start getting pods here real soon, so I can start seeing and counting and figuring out if they're starting to produce like I want them to. But the idea here is that as soon as I get a good feasible pod off of these, I'm going to be pulling them off the plants, maybe harvesting the seeds and getting them and restarting a new generation before even summer's out. We'll hopefully be starting another generation of the plant, and I'll hopefully get a couple of generations throughout this season and into next season, so that we can try to stabilize these varieties. And hopefully in the next couple of seasons, I'll be able to have seeds that I can start getting to people. And this is kind of a look at one of our little wooden trellises coming up out of one of our lower to the ground elevated beds. It's a little like 2x2. We have 2 little 2x2s there with these wood trellises that come out. And this has got, I think, like a sun gold variety, or it's a yellow variety of a cherry variety of tomato. So you can see it's starting to produce more of a yellow orange more so than. So I don't think it's a sun gold. I think it's some other variety. I'm not exactly sure, but they're really starting to, like I said, I was mentioning before, I'm a garden grazer. So I love the cherry tomatoes when they start ripening up because I'm out munching on those every time I'm out in the garden space.
Raspberries for me today.
And so here's another look from the other direction. On the other side, you see the fence. Down there's where all those Prax cherry tomatoes, our elevated bed right there. This trellis here that you see these beans growing up right here is the one I was mentioning to you. It's like 10 feet tall. And those things go right up to the top of it as well, too. Those are more of those pole beans there. And then up front in the again is the watermelon, another sugar baby. And then next to it, we have a lemon cucumber. So we got some lemon cucumber that'll start working its way up the trellis as well, too. Let's see here. We've got, there's that sugar baby. Let's see here. And then here's another one of our elevated beds that I've got a couple of different varieties of some bean varieties. One of them's like 100-year-old cave bean I got from Baker Creek. There's another like a Scarlet Runner in there as well. And then another one, I think the other one is the same one I'm still not thinking of from the last one that's in another part of the garden there as well. But this has got kind of like a little walk-through kind of trellis on the other side, so you can walk up underneath of the kind of cattle paddle trellis. It's not a cat; it's like more of a more pliable type of cattle panel fencing, but goes around in a nice little kind of walk-through that you can go through. And in the background, you can see we got our apple trees that are up back there. I don't think I snapped a real picture of them, but we got our apple trees up here, elevated too, so they can get up above our fence line there and get some good sun get some better light off for them as well. That's we call layering in small spaces, so that we can optimize our light for our plants.
Yes.
And there's another one of our watermelons. And I'm sure this is one of the bigger varieties being in the larger, deeper container there. And look at that little strawberry flower. You didn't notice something different about that strawberry flower?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what, but it definitely doesn't look normal.
Yeah. That's gotta be earwigs. Is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking earwigs on there and munching out on the edges of the strawberry flower. I thought it just looked cool though too, because it just looks like they're just almost grew that way because they've gotten each petal. They've taken some bites off of like each petal of it though too. But some of our strawberries we've got, and as I was mentioning earlier, we're doing a lot of strawberry propagation, and that utilizes the runners. So again, in a normal strawberry bed, when the strawberries start producing runners in a normal season, I'm cutting the runners as they start to form because I want the plant to put its energy into strawberry production. But in a year like this, where we're actually trying to get new plants, we're allowing runners to run. And they'll start popping out little baby plants, and then we'll pop them in here. Let's see, next picture over is I'll take little
plant spikes.
But these are actually just a large paper clip. And then I just clip off the bottom, and it leaves this cool little, spike, like you said. And then if you can see down below here, you can almost see where we pushed it in there to hold our plant into our little pots here. And then again, the runner will keep going and produce another one, and then we'll put another one of those in there, and then we get about 2 or 3 new plants off of each of our runners. So, and we've got a bunch of them. I think there's probably a good 30 or so out there right now, with more to come as I'm waiting for more and more runners to pop more out. So we'll have a bunch of new strawberries coming out of those. And then this is the other side of the fence. So I was saying when I first moved here, it was a bunch of junk and everything, and we've turned it into a nice little growing space here. And what you see there are some right in the front there are Armenian cucumbers. So we got Armenian cucumber in the front, and then right behind it is a spaghetti squash. And next to that, and then next to it here, and they're dying down and getting ready to harvest. So I'm going to harvest these pretty soon here, but our volunteer potatoes. So I'll get in there and I'll harvest out the big ones and pull the big ones, and then I'll leave the little ones behind, and this next season they'll pop up and grow into nice new big ones, and we'll do the same thing over again. And I've done this now. I think this will be the third season we've been doing that with these. So we'll keep seeing if it works, and
I do that with potatoes. It's controversial here because of the depth of cold in our winter, but I
right.
find mine, it's working.
Yeah. I worry too, like for heavy rained areas and stuff like that, saturation. But I haven't, I think it's a good idea. I think it works really well.
So if
And
people
then
just have patience for a few more minutes, we're just
yeah, I'll work through here quickly. I know there's a few more here. This is just a little volunteer tomato that's popping up in between that spaghetti squash and those Armenian cucumbers. There's some of the potato plants. As you can see, they're kind of wearing out and wearing down. A few of them actually have died back. There's like 2 different varieties in here too. There's a yellow variety of potato and a red variety of potato as well. And then here is kind of just a little herb garden. We've got some oregano, some rosemary. There's some mints in some containers. These, I think the rosemary there in the front, and then I think lavender or something in the back. Those are in ground, but the other ones around them are containers that we have everything in. And except for this here is a tomato. I think it's one of those spoon tomatoes that I wanted to grow in a container to see how well the plant will contain itself, because like I said, it just grows crazy big in ground. So I wanted to kind of see what it does inside of a container. So we have that one growing there. And let's go along here. These are along the back side of the alleyway here. We've got a couple of other big containers growing some of our other tomato varieties that we have. And again, I wish I'd written some of this stuff down. I have to actually, when I'm going through, I've got tags I got to go and look through just to remind myself. But they're doing so amazing, and they're doing so great. And again, from containers, and I'm sure you can see in here, they've got fruits growing on them throughout here too as well. So they're doing really well.
Wow.
And, over here on the far side, though, too, out of the wicking container, that's a Sweet 100 cherry tomato. And then right in the center in this other grow bag that we've got are sweet potatoes. And I've got like a little trellis that kind of goes up the backside there, too. And they're climbing up that and probably going to climb up onto the roof. They're going to go all over the place and back here.
Wow.
But they're just starting to take off, though.
I can't believe how much you fit in that urban space. Like, just whoa.
I know, these are just alleyways and a back patio and stuff, these are, and again, just kind of shows you the things we can do. And there's a look into one of those tomatoes there. Look at all them tomatoes that are growing. Yeah. And then here's the sweet potatoes growing up that trellis. And here, just a little further down, in between those tomatoes and this here is my neighbor's gate, kind of opens up. So we don't put anything there, but hopefully in the next season or 2, we're going to put up a cool mural of some sort. I'm trying to work on some different ideas and everything, but the neighbor who lives there really loves the idea and wants to do it, and was kind of reminding me about that. I was like, yeah, we got to get on that. But this is just like a wood box here holding up some of our wicking buckets, and in these buckets we've got Jupiter Bell sweet potatoes, or not sweet potatoes, sweet peppers. And so there's kind of a close up there. So they're all the same. And like I said, I'm mostly focused on the Sugar Rush Peach varieties. That's my experiment with peppers this year. But we've got these, and then I've got a couple of hot varieties I didn't take pictures of in the back of the carport, some of my Kang Star varieties and things like that as well too. So we do have a few other ones besides those, but mostly just those ones that we're growing for the production and the seed saving. And this is an eggplant, one of our eggplants. We do have a few more on the back patio I didn't take a picture of. And then again, to the continuing theme here, some more of those sugar baby watermelons that we've got growing there as well. And then kind of a close up there too. And then some more of our strawberries. This is out of another one of our strawberry beds that we have, which is down on the ground along the alleyway. And if you can see here too, it's got a little bite out of it.
Oh,
Those ones are the most susceptible to my pests when it comes down to it. So this is why I'm thinking of these other ideas for more strawberries. We want to do some gutters and some other stuff like that as well too. So we're going to have a ton of strawberries so that I don't have to worry about the ones that the bugs are getting to. And I showed this clip on yesterday's show of this here. This is our giant pumpkins we're growing. It's actually two plants that we're doing single leaders. So we're snapping off and cutting off all of our suckers that grow off of this. And we're only letting single leaders go through, and we're going to only have 2 fruit, but we're going to allow for 2 each ones, and the most viable best fruit on each vine will get left to one, and I'll get rid of the second one on each vine once we know we got a good one going. So that'll start happening here in the next couple of weeks, as we've already got some little babies that are already popping up all over the place. So if they get pollinated and they're viable, then we'll start looking at what we're going to do for selection. But the real goal is to grow the biggest ones I can. I've grown 137 pound pumpkin before in that same space. So the goal here is to beat 137 pounds and to have some awesome big pumpkins to take pictures with my granddaughter.
And for those of you who want to look back in our archives, we've had people on the show who focus on giant and award.
Yeah. And I'm working on another one here for later in the season as well too, because I love talking to the giant growers. We don't got much space. We don't got much to do, but man, out of this little space and what we can do, we still get some pretty good size ones. I'll never grow one of those big. I don't know if I'll ever reach like 500 pounds or even bigger than that, but we can get some good size ones anyways.
Yeah, your personal best. Yeah.
And this here is our blueberry. It's not blueberries, but it's a blueberry grapes that we got sent to us from Ivy Organic a couple seasons ago, and this is the first season that they're actually really producing some grapes for us. So I'm kind of excited about being able to taste these things finally. So we'll get to see those pretty soon. And right down along that fence line as well, a few more squash varieties. I think they're oh gosh, I can't remember the one over here, but that's another spaghetti squash over here. And then we've got some zucchini right here. And then these tomatoes you see here, there's 4 tomatoes, are mystery tomatoes. These are ones that I kind of got mixed up as I was out planting around and everything. And I went back to I was like planted them out, and then I went back to it and I was like, oh no, I moved the labels. Now I don't know what these ones are. So
common gardener mistake.
Yeah. So they're my mystery tomatoes.
I'll remember. No, you won't. No,
I do know that this first one over here is a cherry variety. So I do know that so far. I haven't gotten any production yet. And these don't get as much light as some of the other spaces, so they're not going to grow as big and prolific as our other ones. And we're going to be moving on to using these spaces for some other projects and some things like that. And so this will probably be one of the last years we'll be growing tomatoes or trying tomatoes back here. They just don't do that well because of the available light.
Maybe look for something that is shade loving.
Yeah, if we get more towards this other side, though, which I'll probably do in them near and around the grapes there, I might do like 1 or 2 and build some wood trellises or something for them or that. But we got some ideas we'll talk about, and I'll probably mention and talk about on our video coming up. There's another little baby squash there from the variety I can't remember right now, or it's a delicata maybe, oh gosh, something like that. But then here's some of those little tomatoes coming off of the one of the varieties I can't figure out. And then there's that spaghetti squash. Now here looks awful. This looks awful. I'm so ashamed of this actually, but I still had to show it to you anyways. This is the backside of that fence line. This is an area that we used to grow a lot in. I haven't grown anything in over the last couple of years. We are going to work to rebuilding and resetting this up for some other things. But the containers, these are some blue storage containers I grew some blueberries in. One of them survived. And then this other one, we had this mystery tree that was growing in there. I was like, I don't know what this is. Some probably invasive thing that got dropped in or something like that. But early in the spring, as all the other fruit trees were putting out all their flowers, this thing had a ton of flowers on it. I was like, what in the world is it if it's got all these sort of really cool, it looks like fruit flowers, you know? And so we just kind of waited, and look what we got. They're
What
golden plums.
Ah!
I got volunteer golden plums growing out of my container. So I was planning on pulling that thing out and getting rid of it and resetting and doing some blueberries, but now I'm going to prune it back and do some stuff with it and everything. And there's another smaller one next to it that I'm going to pull out as well too. And we're going to grow those two next to each other there because of what I've read about this variety of plum is it really needs like a secondary to help for it to get more fruit off of the tree. And because we really only had maybe a dozen to 20 fruits that actually survived, if you will, off of this tree.
Yes.
So if we can get the other one going and it's producing some flowers and all that sort of stuff this next season, and then we could probably get some really good production off of those. But yeah, just amazing. It was such a wonderful surprise to have come. And mind you, this thing's been growing for a couple of years. I've had no clue what this thing is for a while until it finally produced fruit this year.
Yes.
And again, I was ignoring everything back there. So I wasn't even bothering with worrying about pulling it out or doing anything until I was ready to focus the time on it. So kind of good thing that happened because we found this in that whole process. So how amazing and awesome is that? Some more of those blueberry grapes growing on the other side of the fence, coming through the fence as well too. And yeah, there you go, everybody. Nice long garden tours. I knew I had a feeling that we were gonna run over a little bit on today's show with all the pictures that I was setting up for today's show and everything. But how about all of that?
Wow, fantastic. I am blown away. I can't believe, like, I don't even know what to say about that tree. That's like, oh, it's an unused corner. I'm embarrassed by it, but I'll kind of get to it at some point when I have some spare energy. And luckily you didn't prune out that volunteer tree because look what it is. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you just got to let things be and until you can really figure out what it is. Kind of like also too, as we were looking at that little in-ground space in the patio, there's that little like volunteer is from what I was checking out. I did like the little Google search type of thing. And what was telling me was some sort of amaranth variety of some sort. Yeah. So I was like, oh, let's grow it out and see what it does. And, just to see and everything, sometimes you got to let things go and discover what you have,
Yeah. Well, I want to thank everybody for being so patient and wonderful with us through this slideshow.
We're way over today, but
yep. But we want to show you kind of our adventures in the garden, our enthusiasms, and in my opinion, it's where I really live. And I am so glad to have shared this time with all of you and with Enoch showing us the features and delights and surprises in his garden. Just a reminder for all of you that there's different ways you can support the show. You can like, share, subscribe, donate. We're going to be focusing a little more heavily on that in the coming weeks because there's realistic costs to running this show and are dependent on viewers like you to contribute.
Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that too. And one of the things we're actually thinking about here in the next couple of weeks, probably the week after next or something like that, is we'll probably have a couple of community shows that we're talking about. Something we haven't done before was I think what we'll do is do a Saturday and Sunday back-to-back community shows. And what we're going to focus those shows on is kind of like a telethon, a let's get growing-a-thon, if you will. And we're going to be kind of really focusing on gaining some donations and all that sort of stuff, because guess what? The bill's coming due, and that StreamYard bill is not a very fun bill to look at. I'm telling you, it's not cheap. And I was looking more into it and everything, and it's going to be pretty costly. It's either that or I'm going to have to find a different platform, which I'm not too sure about what to do as far as that goes. We got other things that we need to do too. We want to get the website back up and running. We got some other things that we want to get to do. We've got some trips that we really, really have been wanting to take on for this show and take the show on the road and get, we did that one down at the Fig Festival last year, and I was really hoping to get to the Flower and Garden Show this year, but again, certain things and came up and wasn't allowing that to happen. But we're really gearing up, and I'll tell you, hopefully, we're going to be able to get some things together. I'm working on some other things as well too, as far as financing and things like that too. But so we want to get out to the Baker Creek Heirloom Exposition. I haven't had a chance to get out to the farm yet. It was so fun to hang out with David and Bowtie David and Chad and everybody who got to go to the Spring Festival. So I was a little jealous, and I was like, you know what, we got to get over there and go see the Heirloom Exposition, which I've gone to see so many of those in California. It'll be the first one in Missouri, so it'd be really fun to get the show over there. I've got some really cool ideas for some live shows and stuff. So that's all a part of the idea what we're talking about when it comes to asking for donations and things like that to help fund some of the really cool things that we need for a show, and also some cool things that we could really do for the show as well too.
So to sort of paraphrase for us, we've got some real expenses coming up. We're going to be reaching out to you, the audience, in the near future about that. Some are absolute expenses just to keep the channel going. Some of them are wouldn't it be nice expenses. And so looking at involving some of you in that process in the near future. In the very short term, next weekend, we have what I would call a superstar weekend. We are some really excellent guests on Saturday and Sunday. And we're also reaching out to you guys to spread the word, to show up, to be there. Enoch?
Yeah, exactly. I know. Let's talk about it one more time real quick here too. We got next Saturday's Let's Get Growing show, and we've got joining with us Brian Lowell from Next Level Gardening. I mean, this is going to be so amazing, so awesome. I can't wait. I've been wanting to talk to Brian since we thought of this show, and thanks to the great work and help by our good friend Chad down at Down Home Backyard Gardening. He's going to join us for our Are You Following Me segment, and he's going to stick around to be a guest co-host for our conversation with Brian from Next Level Gardening for next Saturday's show. That's just going to be really, really awesome. I can't wait for that conversation. And then, of course, we're going to have our monthly gardening book club again next Sunday for the Sunday edition of the show. Our good friend, Mr. NBC, who was in the garden with us a little bit earlier talking about water cans, will be with us live as in the garden and as co-host for us, as we are featuring, again, another YouTube gardening superstar, and he's been a guest on our show. He's so supportive and so awesome. Mark Valencia is going to come back on the show this time to talk about his very first book. Yeah, Mark's a first-time author, so we knew we had to have him a part of our book club. So he's going to be joining with Mark and I to talk all about his book, 100 Top Crops You Can Grow. And as Jay said, what a superstar weekend we've got coming up, man. So help us get the word out for sure.
So to summarize, can't be missed weekend, next Saturday and Sunday, same place, same time. We are really looking to all of you to show up and spread the word to your friends, to your media contacts. Bring a friend with you, because we are having a superstar weekend next Saturday and Sunday.
Yep, absolutely. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. And yeah, just can't wait. Hang out with all of you and these really awesome guests.
So thanks to all of you for your patience today. We had a bit of a change regarding a potential guest for today. And at the last minute, we were thinking, hey, our gardens are kind of at the prime right now. Let's show you kind of our
show it off.
And I totally admit to you that some of my gardens aren't at their prime right now, because I only got some of that space a couple weeks ago. But the thing is, that is where we truly live, in my opinion. And I hope some of you feel the same way about your gardening lives as well.
Yeah. I hope all of your gardens are growing just as well as ours are. And again, too, I was kind of, apprehensive for a second there about like doing pictures, because I'm trying to do this video summer garden tour. But we'll just call today a sneak peek on the video I'm going to hopefully get out for you this next week here in the midweek, a full-on garden tour of all the spaces. I'll talk a little bit more about some of those things that you saw today and some things that you didn't see. We got more. I mean, Jay says there was a lot in there. There's still stuff I didn't show you too. So you'll want to come and check out that video.
For the next video. Yay.
Exactly. That's exactly why you want to, again, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you can be notified of the video when it comes out here this week. And also hit the like button too on your way out today. Hit that thumbs up. And as we're mentioning, we got an awesome show next week. Share with all your friends. Let them know that we're here next week and every week, Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And follow all the links down below to our other social media and our great, awesome contributors that do some awesome stuff for our show, like our good friend Mark. We got a link for him down there that you can find, and go check out what he's got growing on, and all of our other awesome contributors as well too. So again, thank you everybody for being here today. This was just a really awesome hangout. It's so fun to get to talk about our gardens and get to show you, because I don't get to show you very often with all of or most of the things that we've got growing on around here. So it was really fun to get to hang out with you all and take a little garden tour in Jay and I's garden. So hope you all have a great day. Thanks for hanging out this extra time with us today. I know we're half an hour late, but you know what? It was still fun and still worth it. So again, thank you everybody. We'll see all of you again. Awesome shows next Saturday. We'll see all of you then.
All right, take the run. See you on the flippy flops.